And thanks for joining us again on Mandate 2015. It really is good to be with you again today. And well, it's 12 days to the election, and the heat is gathering. People are getting ready. People are collecting their PVCs, and I think the exercise is becoming more easy because more people have collected, like me, have collected my PVC. Well, it's good to have you again. I'm not alone today. Jumoke Adesua is right here.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for being part of the show. Good morning. Good evening again, and welcome. You actually
I transferred it to you, huh?
Welcome again to the edition of Mandate 2015, and as you know that Mandate 2015 is a countdown towards the election proper. As we count down, we have 12 more days to go, and we're talking about state of the nation and then all that has to do with democracy. And so today again we continue. We'll be talking about educational qualification of political office holders. Is it something that should be take with those seriously, the usual?
Yes, it's generating quite a lot of debate, you know, because well, people's thinking is that if corporate organizations would not employ someone with a secondary school certificate to any very serious, you know, position in the organization, then why should we even be considering that someone with a school certificate should actually
hold public offices?
Hold public offices, not just public offices, be the president of the nation, or be a governor, or a deputy governor, or or even a local government chairman, you know. So it's quite conflicting with what is obtainable now.
Another school of thought is of the view that we should de-emphasize paper qualification, and that it's not all it has to do.
Life experience.
Yes, life experiences and the maturity also has an important role to play in administration, in governance, and all that. Well, these are talking about today on the
program.
And then we're respecting Barrister Chukwuemeka Eze, and then on the second segment of the show this evening, respecting
Dr.
Transparent of
UPN,
Dr. Frederick Fassing, both the journalists in the course of the program. Please stay with us. For now, we'll have a break on the show, and after the break, we'll come back. Stay with us. Time, like I said, the program is Monday 2015, and then 13 days to go on the elections. And then this evening, we're talking about the state of the nation, talking about educational qualification of political office holders. And then this evening we're joined in the studio Barrister Chukwuemeka Eze. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Good evening, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Good to have you. All right, so this topic we have chosen for discussion this evening is actually one that, like we were saying when we were chatting at the beginning of the program, is generating a kind of debate in so many quarters in Nigeria, especially looking at the fact that we are in a jet age, we're in the technology age, we're in an age where everyone is expected to have been exposed to so many things. But then our constitution still stipulates that the maximum educational requirement for any political office holder should be secondary school certificate. Which is the secondary school certificate, which is a bit conflicting. But first of all, could you highlight explicitly what the Constitution stipulates on educational qualification for political holders?
I'll take some samples. In Section 131D of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended 1999, you will see that to qualify as a president, you will have attained up to secondary school leaving certificate level.
Okay.
And then in Section 177D, you see similar provision for that of governors. In Section 142, subsection 2, you will see a vice president being expected to have the same qualification as a president. We equally have such similar provisions For those in the National Assembly, I think in section 65, House of Assembly, section 106, and as the case may be. But the interpretation section in section 318, subsection 1, provides that secondary school certificate level could mean actual possession of secondary school certificate, or even possessing first school leaving primary.
That's primary school.
Yes, plus some other minor qualifications that INEC considers that when they are conjoined with that of first school leaving will be sufficient to be called yes, so city guild, yes, all those ones, I mean TC2, A-level teachers grade 2, all those ones are equivalent. So the thing is fluid, and I think the framers of the Constitution had in mind that Nigeria is still also backward educationally, and some of those that made great impacts in the past, people like Aminu Kano, they were not known to be professors. They led the Talakawas, and people were happy. So Ahmadu Bello, I don't know his level, but he wasn't known to be a professor. So, and in many communities, there are people who enjoy the confidence of the masses, even just with first school living. And being a democracy, people consider such people worthy. In any case, it is a contest. And we are creating a political party system whereby a party will present someone. If a party thinks that presenting a professor will make you win the election, so be it. And if they think presenting somebody with secondary school certificate will help them win the election, so be it. So I think the high and the low, the Constitution concentrated on the lowest. And I think, though we've not advanced to that point, but why that of one of the presidential candidates now is controversial, it's not because he did not attain this level prescribed by the Constitution. I mean, speaking personally. Right. But purporting to have a certificate that some people think he doesn't have. So it's an issue of integrity. It's not an issue of whether he's qualified, because having attained several schools, becoming a general, even if he has a first school leaving certificate, and you add it to some of those ones, he has met the definition under section 318 subsection 1 of somebody competent to contest for the presidency. So that, you know, in political times, your opponent will be searching for something. Did you say you have it? Now, can you present it? And when it's time to present it, you start swearing to an affidavit. Then after swearing to an affidavit, you claim A is having it. A denies that he's having it, that he's not having it. Then you say, okay, B is my principal, produce it. Then he produces it then with some supposed. So people, you know, like lawyers look for loopholes. So opponents look for loopholes. They just want to find loopholes. So, and once they can identify one, it is sufficient. It is different from whether he has the constitutional qualification. But some people want to present the presidential candidate of having a double-edged tongue and should not be relied upon for purpose of the change mantra or mantrum, which is being parodied by his own political party.
Okay, now let's go and talk about the issue of the stipulated qualification school certificates. Do you think it is sufficient enough for somebody who aspires to be a leader of any sort, maybe a councillor, a member of the House of Assembly, a governor, whatever? Do you think having a school certificate is sufficient enough as a level of education to attain political offices
in this day and age?
Reasonably speaking, I think that qualification is too low, because even those with degrees, you can liken the first degree in this country to former West African school certificate. So I mean, so if somebody has a school certificate now, it's even lower than first, I mean old school, You ask those that really had first school living certificate in the 50s, 60s, they can perform better than some degree holders now. So I think they should raise it up. And this is where the National Assembly comes in. We've had several amendments of the Constitution, and they have not taken this serious. So they have not seen it as a problem. And Nigerians have not cried out. So be that as it may, one of the problems confronting the country is not the level of qualification of those who are in power, because even those with professorial accolades, they steal. So the issue is corruption, stealing. So if you will have a first school living and you will not steal, and you control rules, Nigeria will prefer you than a professor that will come and take all their money. So that's why Nigerians are not so much bothered about this certificate, because even certificate, many people get employment with forged certificate. There are certificates everywhere. In fact, it's easy to get. Some American universities, you pay them from here. There are one-man universities there. They just come to one hotel, just one hotel at Oba, at Ikeja, anywhere, and convert you with a PhD honorary. So people should not make so much noise about this certificate. But I think the one that has raised this one is the issue of integrity. Issue of integrity, not issue of after all, the presidential candidate contested in 2003, 2007, 2011, and they knew he had not attended any university after that time. So that's to tell you that the issue actually is not his level of qualification. Some people think he purports to have what he does not really have. It's a kind of misrepresentation. They want to show that this man lacks integrity, this man has been misrepresented. Not that he's not really qualified. And the National Assembly, I think, is a question Nigerians should put across to them if they are fed up with primary school certificate people contesting election or WAEC. So the people should cry out, and they know how to go about it.
Well, I think that the...
Sorry, let me addendum to this. Now, you said going by antecedents in the past, people with school certificates in the past are even more educated than people now who pass out of our universities with degrees. So that's good to say that. Do you think that paper qualification should be emphasized? Then that means that even de-emphasizing paper qualification should also be encouraged.
No, you cannot do without paper. See, when you list requirements, one of them should be paper qualification. But I've advocated there should be a bridge program. And a program when you leave school, you have to, in the university, when we wrote some of these essays, you try to, they call it town and gown. That there ought to be an admixture, a marriage between town and gown. Gown is the university. Town is what happens in the outside world. So many people leave the university. It takes them time to adjust to life in the outside world. We should run institutions of experienced people, like people who have retired from the private sector, public sector. Get them into these institutions to teach people who have just left the universities or secondary schools what happens in real life situation. Because most times when you employ these people, you spend the first 2 years just teaching. You get to a bank, you give a staff of a bank letters of administration, a form, a probate form to endorse the balance of that exists in the account of the disease. And that may be the first time she will be seeing it, he or she will be seeing it in his or her life. Even during training, he or she might not have cited such a thing. Say, okay, wait for me here, let me see my manager. He will take it to the manager. So you see, the education standard is so theoretical and so low that when you, yesterday I observed a lecturer of one of the universities in Nigeria speaking on a program on television, and I marveled the kind of letters or write-ups the students will be making. I mean, he spoke so poorly, and I'm sure he's a senior lecturer. I'm not saying I speak better, but there's a level of fallibility that is allowable when you are engaged in public speaking. But that was so poor. So you will use him as a mirror for the kind of students you will produce. So there is real trouble. And without mentioning names, when I ran my LLM program, I had a classmate who taught in one of the private schools as a lecturer of law, and he failed the course. He failed the course. He got F in a course, yet he was a lecturer of law. Of law in a university in Nigeria. He came to do his LLM and failed in one of the courses and got F.
Wow.
No, he can perform poorly, but not to get F. Yet he will move from there and get back to the classroom and be marking some students. So the whole system is in shambles to me.
All right, we know that delegates at the national conference actually recommended that the bar should be raised for political office holders, especially the president, the vice president, the governors, deputy governors, and the National Assembly members, you know. And do you think that these recommendations should have been put to play before this election started?
I commented during the confab, and I said it was not possible to pass the recommendations because of certain factors, because PDP didn't have absolute majority. When the 5 governors left for APC and left 2 moles, because I believe from day one I believe the 7 governors were gone for APC. They decided that 5 should go, while 2 will stay and finish the 2 should stay temporarily and finish the damage before they return. They come and join the 5. So I think with their followers in the National Assembly that went to the new party, that PDP didn't have the majority to pass. You know, it was meant amendment of the Constitution, and the requirements are stringent. So PDP didn't have a clear majority to pass, and APC didn't believe in the recommendations of the conference.
Exactly.
Throughout this campaign, APC are taking the recommendations as non-event. So it's only Jonathan that has promised that he will implement it. So the environment, the political environment was not auspicious for any attempt. Beyond that, take even the budget. The political environment is still not auspicious to pass the budget from where we'll be paying workers. So if it is as bad as that, is it talking about recommendations of confab that somebody will be, my sister, people are looking for money to contest elections and win and lose.
No, I'm talking about the system of education, a level of decadence in the system of education in Nigeria. Do you think it is affecting what is obtainable now in political parlance, where you have people who don't even respect the rule of law? There's decadence, violence, corruption, and everything. Do you think it has anything to do on this?
No, I think the failure to make appreciable improvement in our educational setting has made our political setup not to be different from that in the First Republic. Even those in the First Republic were more humorous. They are attached to humor. It was those days you could hear peculiar messi, and you'll be happy. You see people rejoicing, happy, but now it just abuses and abuses. So all the grammar we have learned is just to improve in our abusive language. So we have not improved in terms of quality of education. And let me tell you, I saw this coming. This is a country that Britain gave us pure clerical education. Now, at the time, those very well versed in curriculum studies or curricular studies now say we should have 6-3-3-4 system. Now, 6 in the primary school, 3 junior secondary, 3 senior secondary, and at the junior secondary, there is room for vocational studies. You cannot decide whether to go this way or go the other way. And I'm a product of that system. As of 1986, I was a learning teacher at Federal College of Education, Abeokuta. So I'm a teacher by profession. So I'm speaking from point of knowledge. And I know I wrote so many essays on the 6-3-3-4 system. And I came to a conclusion it was more theoretical because at that time I studied mathematics, chemistry. And we were looking for reagents, some of the reagents, to engage in practicals at the College of Education. And that time could be seen as a silver age. Let me not call it golden age. How much more now? When we went for postgraduate program, you see many people come to classes, broken chairs, many standing up, and a lecturer will come and just be dictating from one note or no chalk. And noise everywhere, before you know, people will pack their books and go. So we are just camouflaging. We need to revamp our educational system. Because with the way it is now, you see children take calculators to take JAMB, and it's normal now. I took JAMB, I never used calculator. And in my own time, you could memorize the value both in the form of sword and in the decimal form from cos 0 to cos 360 degrees at 30 degrees interval.
All in the head. All
in the head. But now you ask somebody 2 times 5, you say, where is my calculator? Every minute phone me. You say that kind of thing. What kind of education is that?
No, you just said something. You're talking about a lecturer who was speaking and who could not even...
Yes, because the mother put no habit. Nobody can give what he hasn't. So the situation has become so terrible that we need to be re-educated. In fact, even lecturers, many of them are, some are good. There's some need to be re-educated. As for students, I know so many people have written applications for employment in places. I had the opportunity to look at these applications, and you see the manner of you see they write informal letters as formal letters. Somebody applying for a job saying, I will be grateful if you take me on this job. And I ask them, conversely, you will be ungrateful if you are not taken. You see, those days we were taught mechanical accuracy. But if you ask many of them, what do you understand by, they don't even, so I have not heard of those two words, mechanical accuracy. And parts of a speech, many end up becoming graduates without knowing the difference between a noun and a pronoun. And when you ask for the name of a street, maybe Ibilola Street, Ikeja, the person will start Ibilola with capital I, street with small s, Ikeja with small I. So you wonder where he learnt his own variation of English.
Now you spoke about the 6-3-4 system of education.
Yes.
That it was more theoretical. Could that be one of the major problems education has?
Yes, the type that the British gave us we have not fundamentally departed from it. I mean in practice. In theory, we might have bandied about various forms of, but in reality we have not thoroughly departed. But now we are trying, because some people have brought in this entrepreneurial education, but it has not taken root, whereby people could leave school and they can now on their own say, I want to work for myself. Without see what people do. Just a minute. When they leave school, they start trying from oil companies, move from oil companies to banks, move from banks to telecommunication companies. When they cover all that and they don't get job, it is then they settle down to think of any other thing.
All right, we're still talking about educational qualification of political office holders. But we'll put this package together to further explain what this is all about. And also we went to the street to sample people's opinion on what they think the qualification for public office holders, political office holders should be. Let's sit back and enjoy that, and when we return, we'll continue with the discussion, and of course, you'll have the opportunity to call in to share your views with us on this issue. We'll be back after this break. All right, you're welcome back. That's the people's opinion regarding education.
I was saying that economic issues of this time, when you call for conferences and you send people with primary school certificates to attend a conference in Sweden to discuss climate change.
They're not even
see what they will do, and that's what many Nigerians have been doing. When they get there, they just go and write their names and go for shopping. Take pictures and send online to their friends and take the next flight back. And the country keeps bleeding, suffering. We don't get merit. We don't get any advantage from all the monies we spend on conferences abroad. We just carry papers, reading paper, reading. After a while, we start coming back. So I must tell you, it's quite...
Hello, we have another caller. Hello?
Yes, please, good evening. Calling from Badagry. What's your name, please? Sorry? Mommy Jerry.
Mommy Jerry.
Okay, please go ahead and make your point. Could you speak up a bit?
Did you get that? Are you saying that WAEC or school certificate holders should not go for political?
No, they should not go beyond councillorship. They should stop at councillorship. There should be different levels. You have WAEC, stop at councillorship. You want to be chairman, first degree, president, first degree. But anything WAEC down, concentrate on councillor. Councillor, be in your village and be discussing about sharing of amala and all this.
Hello, good evening. Who's speaking, please? Hello, good evening. Who's speaking? Fine, Mr. Fine.
Where are you calling from? Ikeja.
My contribution is that minimum of first degree, and that in 10 years after your graduation.
Wow, that's another one from another angle.
You need to make contribution to your program. I think you want to invite you to just almost I'm talking nonsense. You don't understand what the country is all about. So how can you come and live when you don't know what it's all about?
Thank you so much. That's another angle to it. At least 10 years working experience.
The issue of 10 years is not... Let me tell you, take a simple issue of climate change and call 50 graduates to come and discuss it now. In a program to discuss climate change, resource costs, monoproduct economy. There are certain issues that can be, or the history of Nigeria, about the first general election, second general election, or test some, you call some graduates. I have tested graduates to raise the number, tell me the states in the south. Just write down the names of the states in the south. And that question we asked a south person. He will write Edo, Delta, and one more. He said, I can't remember the other one.
We have another call. Hello, who's speaking? Good evening. Who's speaking and where are you calling from? Hello?
We've lost that call.
Okay.
All right, now, so are you saying that low educational requirement is detrimental to good governance?
It's detrimental not only to good governance, but even conception.
Sorry, we have another call. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Who's speaking and where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is James. I'm calling from Nairobi.
All right, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. We're listening to you. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to appreciate what you're doing. I've done a very good for the regular education.
Thank you.
I believe for somebody to write the office of the president, it's not something for schools and labor. How would that person be able to interact with the Committee of Nations? How would that be able to interact with the United Nations and come up with economic policies? This election has been based basically on sentiment. To tell us what they have, what are the economic policies, what are the modalities that we use in tackling our problems. Not on sentiment, not on nationality, not on religion. Even through science, it's not affected again. And I agree with the barrister, the PhD should be updated later. Let us know their qualifications. Let us know whether they can get it. But that's the essence of education. Let them come out and let us know who's going to rule us. And they're going to defend Nigeria outside. Would they be intimidated? Would they be able to know the policies or they are going to get created for not the government for them? I think they are the negligence.
Thank you very much.
Jummy, I need to quickly say this.
Okay.
That let's even leave about contesting election. The low quality of campaign issues is a product of improper or lack of proper education. Now, when people come to campaign, they will say, have you gotten your PVC cards? If you have not gotten it, go and get it to vote out the other party. Blah, 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 blah. From there, they now coin the name of the other party, either poverty deceived people or association of past this. So you see the person campaigning is not addressing those issues that will affect your life. Now, if you go to India, so many patients, Nigeria has the largest number of patients in tertiary hospitals in India. There is no presidential candidate that has addressed that issue. And while Obasanjo was in power, he brought an Austrian company that purported to have revamped the tertiary medical institutions in Nigeria. But the head and tail, we are still at the same point now. So nobody is addressing that. And the citizenry, because of this, we are not well educated. We may know Buko because Buko is different from education. We are not well educated. We are not asking questions in respect of this. We are not, those 4 cardinal programs that Awolowo brought to us in 1979, we have not asked these parties, which party will reinvent it. Look at these Jakonde estates. That even though many of them have been neglected, but they stand as monuments. Look at since 1979, 1980, and the poor have found accommodation in those places. So what will be their policy towards the poor in terms of housing, in terms of education, in terms of health? Shall we still continue with consulting clinics as hospitals? National health insurance scheme, are we going to have it? Or are we not going to have it? No party is addressing these issues. The populace, their audiences, they are not asking these questions. They are just shouting, hey, it's our turn. Hey, change. Or continuity. What kind of rubbish is that? So it is now when they came into power, they will start destroying illegal structures. Many people will shouting now, their shops will be destroyed. But then they start weeping. They are not telling them what they will do. It is then you see 10-point agenda, 15-point agenda, 40-point agenda. We are not asking the right questions.
All right, thank you.
Poor education.
Thank you, Barrister Chukwuemeka Eze. It's really been an education. I think the program today is just educating because we all now know what is required, and we hope that Nigerians will do what is right. Thanks for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you for making me join you on the program.
You're welcome. And our viewers and our callers this evening, we want to thank you for being a part of the program. Join us again tomorrow for another edition. I am Jummy Michaels. Good night.
See you again tomorrow. We appreciate you being a part of the show. Have a wonderful evening.